The moment you walk into any room, people are instantly trying to figure you out. They scan your face, listen to your voice, and even try to understand what your silences mean. And while they do this without realizing it, often driven by their own worries, desires, or doubts, Machiavelli did it with sharp focus and clear purpose. He believed that true influence isn't just about what you say or do. It's about how quickly you can understand others. To guide someone, you first need to truly know them. To keep yourself safe, you must be able to predict their actions. To stand firm in any situation, you need to understand them before they even realize they've been seen. Machiavelli knew that what's on the surface is rarely the full truth. A smile might be a performance. A friendly handshake could hide a hidden agenda. A compliment might be a test. So he developed powerful methods, not just guesses. These are 14 psychological strategies designed to quickly understand anyone's true nature, their hidden reasons, and their secret weaknesses. If these strategic insights are already helping you see people and situations with new clarity, imagine what more you can learn. Hit the subscribe button now to unlock deeper wisdom and master the art of influence. Tactic 1. Observe how they treat the unimportant. Forget how they act around you. That can easily be faked. Instead, pay close attention to how they treat someone they think has no power, like a server, an assistant, or someone in a lower position. Machiavelli taught that influence quietly changes weaker minds. And when someone feels safe enough to show their true self, they will always reveal how they plan to treat you once your value or usefulness to them changes. Showing respect to those with less power is a much clearer sign of someone's true character than being kind to equals, because there's no hidden reason to pretend. Tactic 2. Use silence to reveal their true self. Insecurity often thrives in noise. People fill quiet moments, not because they love talking, but because they worry about being seen without distractions. If you want to understand someone quickly, speak less than they do. Say nothing. Pause for a bit longer. Make your quietness more noticeable than their words. Within moments, they will start talking too much, try too hard to impress, expose their fears, and reveal their true intentions. Silence isn't just an empty space. It's a gentle pressure, and under that pressure, people often share things they never meant to say. Tactic 3. Offer nothing and watch their reactions. This is one of Machiavelli's most direct tactics. Give them no approval, no affection, no special favors, just your calm presence, detached and hard to read. Why? Because people will always treat you based on what they hope to get from you. When you offer nothing, you see their natural way of acting. Do they become colder? They were likely only friendly for personal gain. Do they try harder to please you? They might be insecure and crave approval. Do they remain neutral and composed? They have good emotional control and could be very strategic themselves. The less you give, the more they show you about themselves. Tactic 4. Break their usual pattern of control. Some people speak using well-practiced scripts. They've rehearsed their charm, their vulnerability, even their honesty, to manage how others see them. Machiavelli knew this type of person is hard to truly understand unless you interrupt their script. How? Ask a question they don't expect. Gently interrupt their joke with a moment of silence. Respond to flattery with a hint of skepticism. Change the subject when they're gaining momentum. When their performance is disrupted, they might stumble. And in that brief moment of awkwardness, you can see who they truly are. Tactic 5. Test their loyalty with small setbacks. Don't wait for a major betrayal to understand someone's loyalty. Create small tests. Gently decline a small request. Don't grant a minor favor they expected. Briefly hold back your attention. Then observe carefully. Do they remain respectful, or do they start to criticize, distance themselves, or spread rumors? Strategic minds understand that loyalty isn't how people act when things are going well. It's how they react when they feel denied or slightly disappointed. The smallest no can reveal the biggest truth. Tactic 6. Observe their focus, not just their words. People can speak untruths, but where their attention goes usually doesn't lie. While they talk, notice what truly holds their focus. Do their eyes dart towards influential people? They might desire status. Do they ignore those in less powerful positions? They might only respect advantage. Do they check their phone while talking with you? You might be a temporary placeholder, not a priority. Do they subtly mimic your expressions? They might be trying to gain your favor. Machiavelli didn't just listen to words. He tracked attention, because attention shows what they truly value and what they don't. Tactic 7. Share a minor, invented vulnerability. Tell them something small and not quite true about yourself, something that sounds like a minor weakness. For example, I tend to overthink sometimes, or I used to trust people too easily, or I'm not always great at handling arguments. Then, observe. If they use it against you later, making fun of it or exploiting it, they are opportunistic. If they ignore it, they're either respectful or cautious. If they share a genuine weakness of their own in response, they might desire a real connection and feel safe with you. By creating a small, fake vulnerability, you test their true reaction to weakness without risking anything real about yourself. Tactic 8. Make them wait. There's no quicker way to understand someone's level of patience and expectation than to delay your response. Reply to texts later than usual. Be vague about scheduling a meeting. Take longer than expected to give them something. People who feel entitled might panic, try to make you feel guilty, or become subtly aggressive. Patient people adapt and remain calm. Machiavelli didn't just look for loyalty, he looked for resilience. Because impatient individuals are often the first to become difficult when things don't go their way. Time reveals true temperament. Tactic 9. Identify who they imitate. Everyone imitates someone, whether they know it or not. Their tone of voice, their style, their behaviors. Machiavelli believed you can understand a person's ambition by studying who they admire and copy. If they copy powerful people, they might desire control. If they copy popular figures, they might seek attention. If they copy virtuous individuals, they might wish for moral superiority. The person someone tries to be like is often the person they secretly want to become. And once you see who they mirror, you know what they're truly pursuing. Tactic 10. Trigger subtle envy and watch their reaction. Say something subtle that highlights your success, like a recent achievement, a new opportunity, or a compliment someone else gave you. Then, watch their face closely. Is their smile a little too forced? Do they quickly change the subject? Do they suddenly downplay your achievement? That's often a sign of envy. And envy, according to Machiavelli, is a very telling emotional signal because it can often lead to sabotage. Envy doesn't shout. It shows itself in small, fleeting moments. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Tactic 11. Ask what they dislike. Forget what they say they love. That's easy to fake. Instead, ask, what kind of people do you truly dislike? Or, what behaviors in others bother you the most? Because their answer is rarely just about others, it's often a reflection of their own hidden traits. People who claim to dislike arrogance are often secretly arrogant themselves. Those who claim to dislike dishonesty might be skilled at being dishonest. Those who claim to dislike weakness are often secretly terrified of appearing weak. In judging others, people often reveal something about themselves. Tactic 12. Watch what makes them avoid eye contact. Direct eye contact often shows confidence and openness, but what breaks it often reveals the truth. Mention certain topics like money, social status, past mistakes, or power dynamics, and observe their gaze. Their eyes might shift, twitch, or look away the moment something touches a sensitive point. Machiavelli understood that the eyes aren't just a window to the soul. They're an exit door for hidden emotions. What makes their eyes move away reveals what their mind fears most. Introducing the final tactics. The last two tactics are the most revealing, the ones Machiavelli himself used to protect powerful positions, navigate betrayals, and subtly guide the minds of those around him. When you use them, you don't just understand someone, you influence how they see you, which, in turn, draws out their true nature. Because while others try to understand people by simply observing, Machiavelli created situations that provoked answers to come directly to him. He built a sense of anticipation, not necessarily trust. He didn't ask directly, he set things in motion. These final tactics are designed to uncover a person's true internal workings, not by just watching, but by setting the stage for their real self to appear. Tactic 13. Become the mirror they can't ignore. Most people live life wearing a mask. They perform, they charm, they pretend. But Machiavelli discovered that when you subtly reflect a person's tone, their body language, or their choice of words back to them, without overdoing it, you trigger something deep, an unconscious self-recognition. They see a bit of themselves in you, and what they do next reveals exactly what they're trying to hide. For example, mirror their casual tone. Do they become more serious, as if trying to gain control? Mirror their confidence. Do they pull back, unsure how to handle it? Mirror their insecurity. Do they become overly superior, even mocking? By acting as their reflection, you create a subtle mental friction. Most won't consciously notice, but their instincts will react. And that reaction tells you whether they're genuine, defensive, or strategic. The more someone changes their behavior when they see their own energy returned, the more likely they were performing in the first place. Tactic 14. Disarm with respect before probing deeply. The average person expects to be judged, so they come ready with excuses. They are defensive, filtered, guarded. But Machiavelli's brilliance was to start with unexpected respect. Compliment their intelligence. Acknowledge a genuine achievement. Validate something they said, even if you don't fully agree. Why? Because when you make someone feel safe and valued, they let down their guard. And then you ask the real question, the one they're not prepared for, the one that bypasses their defenses. For example, you might say, you clearly think deeply about things. What's the biggest worry behind your decisions? Or, you seem incredibly self-assured. When did you first learn how to show that confidence? Or, you're clearly good at understanding people. How do you know when someone's trying to understand you? Respect creates the opening, but it's the carefully chosen question afterward that reveals their true self. People are often more honest when they feel admired, and that's when the real insights appear. Reading strategically. Now that you understand how to read people psychologically, the next level begins, understanding them strategically. Machiavelli didn't care about personality traits just for fun. He studied people like studying a map, because every hidden weakness, every habit, and every blind spot could be used, influenced, or protected against. You can use their weaknesses as your leverage. Once you see what someone's hiding, you gain more than understanding. You gain influence. Not to cause harm, not even to manipulate unfairly, but to guide situations subtly. If someone fears being alone, your distance becomes a tool. If they crave admiration, subtle disapproval makes them work to earn your respect. If they need to be in control, acting unpredictably can disarm them. And if they are truly a threat, if they are hiding negative intentions, then you already know exactly where to stand strong or how to make them undermine themselves. This is where understanding people psychologically becomes like strategic planning. Mentally categorize them into types, but never say it out loud. Machiavelli didn't label people in conversation. He labeled them in his mind. He didn't say, "He's self-centered," or "She's insecure." He observed, categorized, and acted based on that, without ever revealing his conclusions. Why? Because labels can make people defensive. They fight against them. But addressing their behavior without naming their issue, that works without being detected. Here are some common strategic types. The masked pleaser craves approval and can be influenced with praise, but becomes difficult when denied it. The quiet achiever appears loyal but watches for opportunities to gain power. Show them respect, but don't blindly trust. The brilliant but unstable. Smart but emotionally unpredictable. Their genius can be useful if you can manage their emotional ups and downs. The loud defender over-explains, overreacts, and constantly justifies actions. Often hides guilt or deep insecurity. You don't need to tell them what they are. You just need to know how to interact with them without ever letting them know you're managing the situation. Observe how they handle no. There is no better way to test someone's true character than when they are denied. Machiavelli believed a person's true strength isn't shown in winning, but in how they react to limits. Say no to something they expect, like a favor, a compliment, an opportunity, or a bit of attention. Then step back. If they remain calm, their mind is disciplined. If they lash out subtly or emotionally, they're ruled by ego. If they completely change their attitude, dropping their usual act, they were only playing a role. Being denied what they want reveals their true emotional baseline. Detect who they want to impress. A key strategic truth: people never speak just to express themselves. They speak to position themselves. Every word spoken in front of you is part of a plan, even if they don't realize it. So ask yourself, who are they performing for right now? You? They want your approval. A group? They're trying to show dominance. Someone not present? They're revealing a hidden goal. Watch their eyes. Watch who they check for approval. Every joke, every opinion, every gesture is a small move to gain someone's attention. When you know who they're trying to impress, you know who truly has their loyalty. And it might not be you. Notice what they're proud of, then look for the opposite. People often boast about one quality because they're trying to hide the opposite. Someone who says, "I'm brutally honest," often uses selective truths to influence. Someone who claims, "I avoid drama," is often at the center of conflicts. And someone who states, "I always put others first," is frequently secretly resentful or controlling. Machiavelli believed that emphasizing any one virtue too much was a signal, because real strength doesn't need to loudly announce itself. It simply exists. When someone talks loudly about one value, look deeper for the hidden opposite. It's usually far more revealing. These aren't guesses. They're tools to sharpen your advantage. You're no longer seeing people as confusing variables. You're seeing them as patterns, programs, predictable responses. But there's one more layer. Because once you can read them, you must choose how to act. Do you give them what they want? Do you support their public image? Do you test them, or quietly remove them, or help them grow? Because with great understanding comes responsibility. And with deep insight comes the risk of becoming too detached or overly controlling. But Machiavelli didn't shy away from that risk. He embraced it. He saw people not as problems or enemies, but as opportunities to move the situation forward. And now that you can understand anyone, the next step is learning how to use that understanding to succeed, without ever being seen as the one guiding everything. Once you've learned to understand people with precision, your true influence doesn't come from knowing their secrets. It comes from knowing what to do with that hidden information, without them ever realizing they've been observed. This is the moment strategic intelligence moves from just seeing to actively guiding. You're no longer just watching, you're subtly steering. And they're following your lead without even knowing it. Most people try to influence others through persuasion, through logic, through sincerity. But Machiavelli had no interest in being simply understood. He was interested in being followed, subtly, quietly, consistently. And the first rule of influencing someone who doesn't know they're being influenced is to make them believe they're acting on their own free will. Tactic 1. Mirror their desire, then redirect it. Once you've understood what someone truly wants, be it status, attention, or security, you don't challenge it. You reflect it back to them. The ambitious person? Compliment their drive. The insecure? Validate their effort. The controlling? Acknowledge their command. This lowers their guard. They feel seen, understood. And once they're disarmed, you redirect. You connect their desire to your goal. For example, if they want recognition, imply they'll earn more of it by aligning with your vision. If they want influence, show how following your plan gives them more visibility. You don't fight their desire, you subtly guide it. And once they follow your path, they believe it was their own idea. Tactic 2. Use strategic vulnerability to make them talk. People love to talk about themselves, especially when they feel they're helping you. Machiavelli used this truth like a precise tool. He would share a small, controlled flaw about himself. Something believable but not significant, like, I sometimes struggle with trusting my first impressions, or sometimes I get too focused on my work, or I'm not the best at managing people like you are. Why? Because it creates a subtle emotional imbalance. They now feel a little superior, which is an ego boost, helpful, which creates emotional investment, and trusted, which builds a false sense of closeness. And in that state, they open up. They begin revealing things they normally hide, not because you pressured them, but because they feel safe and above you. A mind that feels safe talks freely. A mind that feels superior talks honestly about itself. You've now unlocked both. Tactic 3. Reveal half a secret to create false equality. People trust most when they believe that trust is being returned. So Machiavelli would offer a partial truth or a controlled personal story, enough to seem open, but never genuinely risky, like, I had to learn the hard way not to rely on everyone I thought I could trust, or I was underestimated a lot in the beginning until I learned to stand up for myself. This creates a false sense of similarity. They think you're just like them, and in their comfort, they let down their defenses. Then they often reveal a real vulnerability about themselves. This is the exchange Machiavelli mastered. You give them a small piece of the puzzle, they give you the whole map. Tactic 4. Let them define themselves and use their definition. One of the most powerful tactics is never to label someone, let them define themselves. For instance, they might say, I'm the type who values loyalty above all, or I really dislike it when people waste time, or I don't let my emotions control me. Now you have their self-identity, which means you know what they're trying to protect and how to frame your requests, ideas, or objections so they align with their own stated beliefs. If you ever need them to do something that goes against their usual behavior, you just link it to their stated values. For example, you're the kind of person who values loyalty, so I trust you'll handle this. Or, I know you don't tolerate inefficiency, here's the shortcut we need. You're not trying to convince them, you're simply reaffirming their identity while guiding it in your favor. And they won't resist, because they believe they're being true to themselves. Tactic 5. Create a reputation they feel they must uphold. People fear losing things more than they desire gaining things, so give them something to protect. Machiavelli would craft reputations for people before they had fully earned them. You might say you're known for always keeping your word, or people respect you because you don't get involved in petty disputes, or you're always the one who keeps things balanced. Now they're on record with this image. And the pressure is on. If they act against the identity you've publicly given them, they feel the risk of looking fake, inconsistent, or weak. So they try to live up to that image. They uphold your definition because you've turned it into a social agreement. And just like that, you've influenced their behavior without ever giving a direct order. Tactic 6. Share just enough information to guide perception. You don't always need to directly influence someone. Sometimes, all you need to do is let them subtly hear the right thing. This could be a story about how you cleverly handled a competitor, a casual comment that suggests you're not easily fooled, or a brief remark that shows your standards are high. These subtle hints create a sense of anticipation and adjustment. People change their behavior around you based on the impression they think they discovered on their own, which is exactly what you wanted. Because when people feel they've figured you out, they stop questioning. And when they stop questioning, they become easier to understand. Tactic 7. Let them win early to influence the final outcome. One of Machiavelli's most subtle moves was to let people have early victories. Let them believe their idea won, their leadership is essential, or their insight is unique. He fed their ego with small, harmless wins, while carefully planning the final result to benefit himself. Because he knew people protect what they think they built, defend what they believe was their idea, and stay loyal when they feel important, even if they're being subtly guided. Let them start the first sentence. You control the conclusion. By now, you're no longer just observing people. You're building clear patterns around their behavior. You're not just reacting to them. You're often predicting them. But the highest level of Machiavellian insight isn't about others. It's about what your ability to understand others reveals about you. There is a potential drawback in every highly perceptive mind, because when you see through everyone, you risk believing you're superior to them all. You might start to act without genuine empathy. You might start to guide situations just for the challenge. And this is where the strategically aware mind must make its final transformation, not just into someone who can understand, influence, or outsmart, but someone who knows exactly when to pause the game and when to step back while still achieving their goals. At the highest level of strategic insight, the interactions no longer feel like a struggle. They become second nature. You no longer think, how do I understand this person? You simply do. You walk into a room, and information naturally flows about who's insecure, who's performing, who's quietly influential, and who's watching you as closely as you're watching them. But this mastery comes with a final challenge, a hidden aspect most never see coming. Like this video. If you're ready to stop just reacting and start acting with powerful intent, subscribe. If you're prepared to become the kind of individual they can't control, can't predict, and can never forget, because this isn't just self-improvement, This is a journey of strategic self-mastery, and you are becoming a force to be reckoned with.